Here we are.
Here we are. Happy Saturday chat.
Happy Saturday.
Sat chat. Welcome.
Welcome. We got peanut butter cookies.
We do. We have a peanut
fun
butter
story
cookie
behind
story.
that.
Yeah.
But first of all, this week, tomorrow,
busting
out a song, bringing it into our live sets near you.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers in the first edition.
What condition my condition was in? I don't know. I've been checking on my condition for a full week now. I don't know what condition my condition is in.
Kenny Rogers in the first condition. It's Kenny Rogers in the first edition.
I think you said it right.
So, yeah, Kenny Rogers. I thought he had, when I was a kid, quick story. Of course, I guess it's not a quick story, but when I was a kid, Kenny Rogers, I thought had the greatest beard.
Okay.
I don't remember a lot of people with beards in my life at the time, and I thought Kenny Rogers, I thought it made him look very wise. And I'll tell you why, because he had the song The Gambler. And It was like he told a story. And it was like one of the very first songs that I remember the story of, like, in hearing the song and being like, story. And I thought it was like true. You know, I was like, oh, he's telling us like the story about a guy that's a gambler and he almost got his butt kicked.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Cheating. Mm-hmm. Like, wow. Or I don't remember, I don't even remember the story now. But it's like, I just remember he was like.
You remember the story you told yourself as a child.
Yeah, I do. And he was like the wise gambler, and he met somebody, the guy that was singing the song. He met Kenny Rogers, and he was teaching Kenny Rogers how to play poker. Mm-hmm. I thought it was like, in my mind, I had a really big story about it.
But you thought he was wise because of his beard?
Yeah, and because he knew a lot about poker, and so I became a really big Kenny Rogers fan at a really young age.
So were you country Kenny Rogers or psychedelic rock Kenny Rogers fan?
I mean, he only has this one song, this psychedelic, that I know about, but this is definitely the era of Kenny Rogers. From Here Until The Gambler was my favorite, and I like the song they sang with Dolly. I thought it was
Islands in the Stream.
Yeah. And I remember
it's really pretty.
I remember seeing them singing on some awards banquet.
Yeah.
And I thought that they were like, they looked like a king and a queen to me. You know what I mean? I didn't think of them as like superstars. I thought that they were more like royalty. And I guess in some ways they are.
That's
they're like
kind of how
royalty.
Celebrity is treated now. Yeah.
But I was enamored, at a young age with Kenny Rogers. And I liked the song a lot. And
so I found out that Jerry Lee Lewis was the first recording of this song.
Which I had no idea. Because
I know.
If I would have guessed, I would have said that Kenny Rogers wrote it. Because I know that he didn't write songs.
Neither of them wrote it, yeah.
I know that he didn't write songs later in his career. But I thought maybe like when he was in the first edition he did. And still to this day, there's a live version of the first edition performing this song on YouTube. It has one of the best comments.
What's the comment?
I don't want to share it.
What? Okay.
Let's just say it comments on how all the members of Kenny Rogers' band look like Kenny Rogers.
That's
and they're
funny.
all wearing the same jumpsuit.
That's funny.
So they're wearing like a jumpsuit, and they all, like the guitar player, and I think Kenny Rogers played bass in the first edition, if I'm not mistaken.
Glenn Campbell played a solo on it.
Yeah. And it has a backwards guitar solo. It's a very It's funny, and then I saw the Smothers Brothers skit of it, and that was also funny. But of course, they were lip syncing in that one. But
I didn't see that.
They had the whole band on it, and it was pretty hilarious. So it's campy, but we're checking.
Yeah,
out.
I mean, yeah.
First edition. I think it's time it comes back. I think we should make the first edition popular again.
The Big Lebowski uses it in a dream sequence called Gutterball for
And that's actually how I was reminded of the song.
I think that's how I was introduced to the song, yeah.
Several years back, we watched The Big Lebowski, and I said, oh, yeah, this song, it's amazing.
The Dude Abides.
The Dude Abides, for sure.
Yeah.
So.
I like the song quite a bit,
what's your favorite
actually.
Kenny Rogers song, though?
I would probably say Islands in the Stream. Like,
really?
I really enjoy it. I like the harmony in it. I like many, have a huge affinity for Dolly, I think their voices blend so nicely on it.
They do, and I love the part where, like, when I was a kid, I loved the part. I thought it was so great. It was so great.
Okay,
it was like,
yeah.
yeah, that's so cool. I can remember Like, I don't know what I used. Probably a hairbrush. Microphone.
Yeah, a spoon, a whisk.
Yeah, so I would say, though, that, at the time it was Islands in the Stream, Ruby, The Gambler.
The Gambler. I did like The Gambler. I knew the
song less. At that time,
I didn't know
The Gambler was probably my favorite song. Now, it'd probably be a toss-up between the two. And I know that I'm missing a bunch of other popular songs for sure.
Yeah, of course. If I look down a list of the songs, I'd probably go, oh, that one, that one, that one.
Yeah, the first edition makes most sense in our context, although I could see us doing The Gambler at some point too.
I don't see, we've pulled songs from all kinds of genres, so
Fun tidbit, did you know that Fish had Kenny Rogers on stage and they did The Gambler together?
I did not know this.
I'm not sure it was at Bonnaroo or
I'm not really surprised,
or
but
one of those.
Okay, yeah.
That's like iconic.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Kenny Rogers is an icon.
Yeah,
he's an American icon
for sure.
So, I would put him up there. He was the '80s version to me of looking back of like a Tony Bennett or like a Neil Sedaka or something like that.
Okay.
Or even I would maybe elevate him to like Frank Sinatra satirist, but he was like on that kind of plane, in the 80s. I think that's where he was, and then in the 90s, of course, we had Michael Bolton, come in and kind of homogenize it even more. But anyways, that's getting off subject. Let's tell about our peanut butter cookies, because this is a good story.
Do you want to tell about it?
And it ties into our farm. I'll tell it, and you can
interject.
You can interject and correct me as we go.
I'll eat cookie. And pet the cat.
So as you all know, we have farm animals that show up here. We've been working really hard to get...
Are cats farm animals?
Yeah.
I guess.
We've been working really hard to get our latest stray cats fixed.
Mm-hmm. We've got to catch them first.
A couple weeks ago, we had... a couple months ago, we had a cat show up. We named her Janet. She came into the house, and she was very loving. And she would hang around the 7 acres, and for several days she was in the house. Mostly wanted to be in the house a lot, and we decided we need to get her fixed. And within a day or two, she disappeared.
That's part of the reason why we kept her in the house too, or let her come in, is because we had 2 boys down in the barn that we know have not been fixed.
Yeah.
So in our community, we have it's called a community cat program for our feral and wild cats, that they will help us get them fixed, and at a low or no cost depending on the situation with the cat. And what they do is they take a little tip off the ear to show that they've been fixed. So when they're out in the community roaming around, we can tell at a glance if the cat has been fixed or not, and know if we need to trap and help get the cat fixed. So we know for sure that there are 2 boys down there that haven't been fixed, and her ear wasn't tipped, and I didn't see any scar or anything. So we figured she wasn't tipped, and we kind of wanted to keep them separated.
So Janet was a black and white tabby, I guess. Black and white.
It's considered a tuxedo cat, but it's called a mask and mantle.
Okay.
Mask and mantle.
So anyway, she was here, and she was loving, and we were thinking about getting her fixed. And if you want to know exactly what she looks like, you can go on our Instagram account, and you can look for a reel that says...
Janet likes this
song. And there's a picture of her sitting at Ashley's feet while Ashley is singing in the field. And anyhow, she disappeared. Gone. Gone. Hadn't not seen her.
14 days this cat was disappeared.
She was gone. You gave away.
Sorry.
When you interject, you're not supposed to tell the future of the story. Like, you just skipped 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend like you didn't hear that. So Janet is missing at this point, and some days go by, and then our hen goes missing, which was tragic because we only had 1 laying hen, and she'd given us about 2 weeks worth of eggs.
And she was so sweet.
And she was very sweet, and she'd come here bedraggled and gotten very healthy and then disappeared. And at this point, we started looking for predators, and they were both missing in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Just gone out of nowhere.
There's been a lot of construction around us. We were thinking hawk.
And we actually saw a hawk.
We actually saw hawks.
So
we
think Anne was taken by a hawk.
But anyway, lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Janet shows up one morning like nothing ever happened.
It was the day after Anne went missing.
A long cut on her nose.
Mm-hmm.
And we said, okay, goody. She stayed in the house. We kept her in the house for 4 or 5 days. We said, we're not going to bother trying to trap her or put her in a cage to get her fixed unless we realize she's going to stick around.
Well, no, we just had to wait because they only do the community cat program 1 day a week. So we had to wait for that 1 day. We didn't know if she would take off the next time she went outside. So, but she stayed around for about a week.
Yep. And
Monday night.
We made an appointment. Yeah. They open for Tuesdays and Monday night. Around 4 in the afternoon, actually. She wanted outside, so we let her outside. And usually she comes back before evening or first thing in the morning. Both has happened regularly for this over a week and change. And we haven't seen Janet since.
Nope, Janet went.
So I don't know if Janet caught wind that she might get fixed or she went back to wherever she went for 14 days. And
we have no idea. Janet's missing.
She's missing again, but long story short, or long story long.
Long story regular length.
Long story long. Another one of our cats named Tuxedo.
Well, that's what we've called him, yeah.
Stood in the gap and he got fixed.
Yeah, he did.
So when we were to the peanut butter cookie side of the story, while we were getting him fixed, Ashley was in line with a sweet older lady named
Sue.
And Sue said, do you think I brought up Tuxedo to Ashley? Because
oh, no, I flat out volunteered you. She didn't ask for help.
Ashley volunteered me to carry her cat indoors.
Because she was older,
82.
and, well, we didn't know that at the time. And
I'm not giving away anything here like some people.
She said that her neighbor had to help her catch the cat, and he was wild. She didn't even have a name for him yet. She ended up naming him.
Let me give you a little bit of wild. So I reached in to the back, and he was like a beautifully striped black and brown. I forget what they are, almost like an Egyptian. And I reached into the back of her minivan after she opened it for me with her key fob.
Did you say like an Egyptian because the Bangles sang the walk like an Egyptian?
No, like an Egyptian cat. So
Bengal cat.
I reached in and he had the most guttural growl, and I couldn't even make him out because he was in the shadows. Like, yeah. And I grabbed him by the top of the cage. And before I could get it about 4 inches off the ground, he had already gone from one side of the cage to the other and back and twisted it in my hand.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I have to look for a place. I brought it towards me and grabbed it at the front of the cage where he couldn't get to it because there's a little drop gate. And as I brought him out, he continued to growl and hiss, and he probably flipped about 3 somersaults in the 20 feet that I had to walk with the cage. And I set him down on the grass and he was flipping out. And I looked at the top of the cage, and on a piece of masking tape it had the lady's last name, which I don't remember what that was, but the cat's name,
she named him there on the spot.
I will forever forget, was Lucifer. I'll never forget it.
Yeah,
that's what I said. I'll never forget Lucifer, and he was a sweet in his own way. We'll leave it at that. She
had to have a neighbor help her get him caught and get him loaded up, so I was nice enough to volunteer my big strong man to come help with Lucifer.
Him in, and then at the end of the day, when we went back to pick up our cat, we were waiting.
Well, we told her that if we were there,
we would help her.
That we would help her take him back out, so she didn't have to worry about that. So,
and
we happened to be there at the same time, but there was a volunteer on staff that, or a worker there that said he would carry him, and she asked me to go to the car with her, so I did. And she hands me this container, and it's got this beautiful thank you note.
The best peanut butter cookies.
Who's interjecting?
The best peanut butter cookies. Who was telling the story? So it has the best peanut butter cookies, and a sweet, lovely note that said, it was about a paragraph and a half, but the one key line that stuck out to me was, and I'm sharing this not to brag, but to encourage you guys. And that is, it said, you restored my faith in humanity with your act of kindness. And she was 82 years old, and I don't know her living situation, but I wanted to encourage people that it cost us nothing to be kind to somebody. It really cost us nothing.
Yeah. I helped her with a little bit of paperwork, and Dave carried a cat.
You'll never know the small little gift of your time. A small effort, the smallest of efforts.
Well, I'm going to say...
You'll never know the smallest of efforts.
If by chance Miss Sue's family happens to be watching, or if she happens to be watching, I will say that the blessing of these peanut butter cookies has carried us through this week, because I haven't been feeling that great. And like just having the little sweetness.
The memory of her sweetness carries through the cookies.
Yeah, it really does. It really blessed my heart.
But to continue to encourage you guys, do something kind for somebody. It doesn't take much.
Yeah.
It doesn't take hardly any effort, and you'll never know. Now, not everybody's going to bake you peanut butter cookies and write you a short love note.
But that's not why we did the thing.
But that's not why we did the thing, right? But you never know. Like, and it encouraged me. It kind of re-upped me to think, like, because sometimes you try to do all the right things,
it costs
and it seems like nobody ever notices, and it seems like nobody really cares, and you're really not. Especially in this day and age, it feels like you're really never making an impact. But be encouraged. Yeah. Small
little things go a long way. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be millions of dollar gifts to cure cancer. It doesn't have to be hours and hours of your time. It can be a simple picking up a bag of groceries for somebody and handing it to them. It could be opening somebody's door, holding the door an extra second, picking up something that somebody dropped for them.
Just looking at somebody in the eye and smiling as you pass them, It
doesn't have to be
just
big.
that acknowledgement of somebody else's humanity that you've crossed paths with. It really doesn't cost us anything to do that. Just the thought space. But our friend Richard also encouraged us, because we do have the other cats that we're taking, and this place that we take them has really blessed our community, has really made an impact for people who these cats are just dumped on them like us. Like, the cats just show up out of nowhere. The place is called the Joy Clinic, and they're located in Lebanon, Tennessee, in Wilson County, and they do have a wish list. And Richard brought this up, and I thought it was a great idea.
They probably have it online.
It's online, so you can go. If you have the means and you want to do something and you can't think of a thing, this would help a clinic that's helping to spay and neuter. And they also do rabies vaccinations and distemper vaccination and flea and tick treatment for these community cats that they're just kind of out in the wild, just kind of fending for themselves, and they're doing a service to make sure, number one, that we keep our cat population under control. Number two, to make their lives so much easier, because especially for the female cats, it can be a horrendous time when they're going into heat or trying to raise babies and they're homeless. It's really a great service to our community, and they're offering the service outside of our community to people in the surrounding counties for a low cost. So if you have the means and want to bless in this way, like the Joy Clinic,
Lebanon, Tennessee,
they have a wish list. Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us today.
See you tomorrow.
Go out there and do an act of kindness for somebody.
And also let us know what condition your condition is in.
Let us know. Cat's giving me dirty looks.
No, he's not. He wants your lap.
He wants my lap.
He
wants my lap. It says hi. It says hi.